Hello everyone and welcome to Isms by Josie. Today we're going to be doing a Thanksgiving dinner nail design. I started out by doing a polygel infill and putting down a coat of foundation gel. Now I'm taking Sally Hansen's Miracle Gel color Sweet Tea and I'm going to be laying down 2 coats of this on each nail. This nail polish tended to leave brush strokes, so I am going to be applying the first coat very thinly and then the second coat more generously and quickly to avoid leaving brush stroke marks. This is just how the brand is, but it won't be too much of a bother considering we are going to be stamping over this background coat, so it won't be too big of a deal and you won't see the strokes so much. Now this is the second coat. You want to be generous with it, and if it gets on your cuticles you just wipe it off with a brush and acetone. Now I'm going to be taking a Born Pretty stamping plate number BPL013 and I'm using this flannel pattern on each nail. Then I'm going to be taking Born Pretty stamping nail polish number 19, number 10, and number 5. I'll be starting with the number 19 and spreading this on the stamping plate. Swipe it with the card. Grabbing it with the stamper, use some tape to remove the unwanted pieces so that you can stamp it on your nail as cleanly as possible. And we're going to be doing this twice per nail just to cover it all. If you're doing this on your own with any design, you may want to just line up the design so that it comes on continuously. Now we are moving on with the number 10, and we're going to be applying this right on top of the work that we just did and kind of offset it a little bit so that we can see both the number 19 and the number 10 color. Again, we'll be doing this 2 times per nail and we'll be doing this to each nail. Now I'm going to be taking number 5 and applying the same technique. As I'm placing this on here, I feel like the number 5 is a little too sharp of a color. So I'm going to be putting this on my pinky nail as it's the smallest nail, and I'm going to see if it's just too much for the design. Again, we'll be doing this 2 times per nail to cover the whole nail. Line up the design. And I saw that it looked fine, but now I'm going to try this yellow color. I'll leave a link in the description below. They all come in a set, and this one just didn't have a sticker on it. The pinky looked fine, but I wanted to see what it would look like if I used the yellow. It's a lighter color, and I thought that maybe it wouldn't be as busy as the red. So we're just applying this now. And we'll be offsetting this to fit both the number 19, the number 10, and now this yellow. And again, 2 times per nail. And it looked fine. So now I'm decided just to alternate the colors. So the middle and thumb finger will have the red, and the index finger will have the yellow. I chose these colors because, you know, obviously it's the autumn season, and these combos all work together, and it looked so great for the design that I'm doing today. And this design is very tedious, as you can see, and it's pretty long compared to the other designs that I've done. But once all is said and done, you're gonna love this design. It's so cute. I just, you know, I just can't wait to get through this whole, 50 minutes for you to see the end result. So now I'm going to be taking these little circular magnets. I'll leave the link in the description box below. They're 3 millimeters by 1 millimeter. I'm taking the Gummy Jelly by Couture and taking the Shiny by Couture. So we're doing the first nail, which is my thumb, and I'm taking a goob of this and placing it in the middle of my nail. And the idea is I wanted to obviously have the magnet settle, and I wanted it to look like a place setting. So I'm taking these rose gold circle things. I'll leave the link in the description box below. And I thought that this little ring around the magnet will be like a plate with the accent ring. So now I'm taking the Shiny and I'm applying it first to the places that don't have the gummy jelly, just so that I don't disturb the gummy jelly. And I end up sealing the stamp design underneath. And at this point, like the regular nail polish and the stamp polish that dries quick are fully dried, so there won't be any rippling when I cure. And now I'm just dabbing on a little bit of the Shiny over this gummy jelly carefully so that it doesn't run. And now I'm going to be placing my circle to mark where I'm going to be putting my magnet, which is in the center of my nail. And then I'll be grabbing this little tiny piece of magnet. As you can see here, it's so tiny. But the magnetic pull was pretty decent. So I'm placing this in the middle of that circle, and it didn't look so much like a plate. So I decided that I'm gonna turn this into a flower. Just so when you don't have the other side of the magnets on, it looks like a flower, which, would complete the design. So you can wear these with or without the extra magnet once this is all done. So I'm alternating yellow and red. So for my thumbnail, I'm going to be putting yellow rhinestones all around this circle, making it look like, um, a modernized flower design. And I think it kind of works. It's the backdrop is just autumn flannel, and the design is it looks like a maybe one of those mirrors with rhinestone accents. So it works. Now, you might want to use anything but metal to work, while working with magnets, obviously, because you can have everything set um, on your nail. If you end up using a metal, you'll probably end up pulling or dragging your design because the magnet's going to want to follow this. So after we lay down all these rhinestones, we're going to be curing this so that everything gets stuck in place, and we can move on to the rest of the nails and then the next part of the design. Now I'm going to be working on my index, which has the yellow stamper. And again, I'm applying the same technique of gummy jelly in the middle, shiny all around, and then a little bit on top of the gummy jelly. Using the rose gold circle to mark the center, placing the magnet in the middle, and now I'm adorning the centerpiece with red rhinestones this time, and that contrasts the yellow stamp that we used on this finger versus the red that we did on the thumb. So after I do all my 5 nails, I'm going to take some nail cleanser and just wipe each nail down to remove the excess stamping polish on my skin. If you don't have this problem, you don't need to do this because this is a no wipe top coat. So now I'm going to be taking these magnets, and I want to make sure I've got the right polars sides. So I'm going to be placing this stack of magnets on each one, and just leaving it on there for the next step. And the pull on this is pretty strong, so as you can see, I'm having issues just taking one and putting it on one nail. But eventually I got it. And it also holds the magnet in place so that as you work with the next steps, it's ready to go. Making sure I got the right count of magnets on there, they're so small. So now I'm taking the backing of my form stickers, and I'll be using this to hold my polygels. Now I'm taking Bright White Polygel by Gelish, and I'm taking a blob of that, placing it down on the backing, and I'm just cutting this up to 5 random pieces to make the plates for our design today. So again, based on our design title for this week, the first part of this video was basically making the table, and now we're making the plates. So I'm taking the magnets off per nail, and you want to flip it to upside down because the flat surface on the backing will become upright, if that makes any sense. So I thought just the white polygel wouldn't be enough to make a nice plate. So I'm taking these crystals, I'm leaving the link in the description box below, and I'm lining the plate now with these crystals. I thought it would give it a nice accented edge for these plates. It reminds me of resin, poured resin. That's like a trend now. But I didn't even want to see what it would look like without it, because, you know, obviously just looking at this right now, it just looks like a white round disc. So I'm not too sure if plate would be screaming at you if you saw these on the nails. But I'm placing the rhinestones upside down. Like I said, after this cures, we're going to be using the flat side. So yeah, you want to, that's why we put the magnets on our nails, so that we can know which side needs to be upright. So I'm taking some slip and a brush, and I'm just smoothing out the little bulge that's been created by dipping the magnet in and then putting the rhinestones on the sides, and flattening this out will also help secure the rhinestones. And you can't see it, but placing the rhinestones down, I had kind of smushed it in there a little bit. So after I cure this, now I'm just going to peel each one off and put it on the right nail, meaning just looking at the sizes that I created. Obviously going to take the smallest one and put that on the pinky, and so on and so forth. But you can see that after we flip it, the plates are nice and smooth, and the rhinestones are just giving it that nice pop for the plating. And here I'm just removing a little excess polygel um, that I missed. And this is the tabletop with the empty plates. And you see the magnetic pull on these. Oop, I pulled it way too far. But yeah, I mean, the pull is pretty good. And this is me picking up the magnet this way. It's already cute. I just can't wait. I mean, it looks like metallic sunny side up, but I can't wait for the next parts. So now I'm taking Cover Pink Polygel by Gelish, grabbing a blob of that, putting it down my backing, and I'm going to be working on my pinky nail. So I'm taking a little piece, and I'm going to be making the structure for cranberry sauce. I wanted the pinky to be cranberry sauce because it's the smallest one, and you don't need too much cranberry sauce, so we're just going to be taking my brush and making some indents in it to create some random, you know, it's cranberry sauce, so it's not like all the way smooth. It's chunky. So, but with some polygels, you have to work quickly because it will settle a little bit. So if I keep playing around with this and just letting it go, it'll turn back to a dome with smooth sides. So that was the only tricky thing for me doing this. Well, no, that's not the only thing that was tricky. I've never done this before, so it was a lot of weird things that I had to adjust to. But I mean, as far as creating what I wanted to create. So I'm taking Top It Off by Gelish, and I'm going to be top coating the exposed plating, just to make it, just to give it like a porcelain look to it. and I'll be doing this to the rest of the nails as well. So I'll be putting down blobs of polygel and then just saving some gel and uh, applying the top coat. And you know, polygel sticking to polygel is better than polygel sticking to a top coat. So that's the other reason why I would rather do it this way. And this brush is probably not the best brush to use, so I kind of canned it after this nail or the next nail, I can't remember. But anyway, I cured that. Now I'm taking gelish hard gel, and I'm taking a little blob of that, and I'm going to be taking my Born Pretty stamping polish. I think that was, I don't know what number that was. Well, I'll leave a link in the description below. I think it was number 13. Yeah. Okay. So, number 13. And we're using number 13 to make the cranberry spots. And now I am taking Born Pretty stamping polish number 5 and my striping polish from Shany number 7. And I'm going to be mixing that in the hard gel to make the jelly for the cranberry sauce. And I'll be just putting this all over the structure that we made, over the little cranberry pieces that we used for the number 13 stamping polish. And in the real world, you'd probably want to put this in a bowl, not on a plate. So after I cure that, I'm just gonna go back in and use my number 5 to accent the cranberry pieces in there. And I didn't show it, but I put a top coat over that and I wiped it off with nail cleanser. So moving on to my ring finger, I'll be taking another piece of this polygel and I'm going to be creating the stuffing for this finger. And looking back, I just realized that this finger should have had half stuffing and half mashed potatoes. Because looking at my nails now, I realize that I don't have any mashed potatoes, and it's devastating to me. So I'm just randomly patting this down, jabbing it with my brush to give it a textured look. And actually, I have no idea what stuffing looks like offhand. It's been a year. So, um, I think I'm doing this right, but I actually stuff my turkey, so I really wouldn't know what stuffing on a plate looks like anyway. Well, I guess I should, but that's only after I take it out of the turkey and put it on my plate, but by that point it's already in my stomach. So, I'm just taking the top coat and putting a layer on the exposed plate before I cure it. And now I'm taking my number 19 and the yellow, it doesn't have a number, and white also doesn't have a number, but I'll leave a link in the description box below. And I'm going to take a little dab of each and mix it up to make the stuffing color. This Born Pretty stamping polish came in a set of, I'm not sure exactly how much, but there's a lot of bottles in there. So I'm really happy that I'm getting to use a lot of it today, or at least the ones that I don't normally use. But yeah, I'll leave a link below and you'll see like there's a bunch of them. So it's good for almost any design you can come up with, because then you could always just mix colors like I'm doing today. So now I'm taking my dotting tool, and I don't know why I picked white, but I picked white and I'm putting little dots on there to give it some definition of a crumbled mess in there. And I'm going back to my number 19 and I'm going over these white spots and making it look like the roasted toast bits look. I mean, at this point, it's starting to look like a chocolate chip cookie that I actually had not too long ago, so. But it's stuffing. So, moving on to my middle finger, I am now taking a piece of the polygel and I'm going to be creating a slice of pumpkin pie. I particularly am a pecan pie person, but I feel like most people know the pumpkin pie. And if I did the pecan pie, I mean, the colors would just be the same and it's right next to the stuffing. So I chose pumpkin. I mean, I like pumpkin too, but I prefer pecan. So I'm just trying to make a triangle shape from this poly gel. I'm definitely not a sculptor. It's one thing to see an object in your head, it's another thing to get some lumpy form and turn it into what you're seeing in your head. I mean, you'd think it would be easy, but it's not, because clearly, like, I'm trying to manipulate this polygel to be a triangle, and it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm being too delicate with it, but it's clearly taking way too long to make three sides. And this part here, it's supposed to be more arched than anything, so I feel like it's looking like a teardrop rather than a pumpkin pie slice, but I'm working on it. It's getting there. Before I cure this, I'm going to be taking the clear top coat and again putting this down on the exposed plate areas. After I cured that, I'm going to be taking number 19, the yellow and the white, and I'm going to be mixing that together to make the base coat for my pumpkin pie slice. It's crazy how like the majority of my nails have been using the same colors, just mixed differently. Just wiping that on there. And this stamping nail polish dries fairly quickly, so I mean when you lay it down. Now I'm going to take another piece of this polygel to create the pie crust. And we're going to be doing a freehand dough as opposed to the graham cracker crust that you may see with a pumpkin pie. So I'm just taking my brush and forming the crust. Then I'm going to be taking my baller tool and I'm going to be rippling the crust to look like what you would see in a real pumpkin pie. I tell you, working miniature is a lot harder than making a real pie in real life. Now I'm going to be taking my number 10, and I'm going to be mixing it in with the 19, the yellow, and the white, because now I'm going to be making the main coat for my pumpkin pie, which has a more orange hue to it. I'm just scooping this up with the brush and laying it down on the pumpkin slice. And then I'm going to mix the rest of this to make the pie crust color. It's a good thing I used the Cover Pink Poly Gel. I think it's been blending well with the colors that I'm using. I was on the fence with it. I originally was just going to use the white poly gel because I'm trying to get rid of that. But I actually got rid of a good bit of the last bit of it with the plates. So it's a good thing I ended up using the Cover Pink. But I'm almost there. Once I use up my poly gels, I'm gonna switch to hard gel. So you'll get to see a video of me doing that. It's been so long though, because like I started with the poly gel and I liked it, but then once I got the hard gel, I was like, oh, I like this better. But now I've been using the poly gel because I've been trying to get rid of that. And once I go back to the hard gel, I wonder if it's gonna be harder or easier. I don't know. But I got a bit of this poly gel and I'm going to make my dollop of whipped cream. So I'm trying to get this little piece on there. And then I'm going to be taking the brush with some slip and form it into like a little swirly cone. I personally don't think I've ever had pumpkin pie with whipped cream though. So I have no idea what that's like. But every time I see pumpkin pie, if it's in a slice, there's always like a dollop of whipped cream. And I won't be having that this year too, because I don't think we're whipped cream kind of people on a pumpkin pie. So I'm just going to be making the pumpkin pie. So after curing that, I'm taking the white stamping polish and I'm carefully coloring the dollop, trying not to get it onto the pumpkin pie slice because it'll be hard for me to clean that off, because if I try to clean it off, it'll clean off the pumpkin pie color too as well. So I found the plate to be a little dull somehow, so I'm just putting on another coat, clear coat on there, to liven it up. This was after I had cured it. After I laid down the color for the pumpkin pie slice, I nail cleansed it and it just wasn't looking shiny, so I just put on another coat. But anyhow, I taking this green, it doesn't have a number. I have the link in the description box below. And I'm taking this piece of polygel to create the peas on my index finger. So I'm just trying to make a random dollop of it, and using the brush to kind of texturize the polygel. Then I'm taking my baller tool to make indents into this mound of peas. And because the magnet is right there, I mean, I guess it was strong enough that it was attracting the baller tool, so it would get stuck on the plate and it would leave a huge indent. So this took a little bit of manipulation to make the right dents at the depth I wanted. But again, I mean, that shows how strong the pull of these magnets are. I mean, they're not like super strong or anything, but they're strong enough that you can, talk with your hands and they won't fly off of it. But these suckers, they don't stay on for through anything. Like if you nick your nail on something, it's gonna pop off, so just be mindful of that. So now I'm taking this dark green Shany number 12, a link in the description box below, and I'm using this as my base color for the peas that I just made. As you can see, it looks like a green goob, and I definitely cleaned up the excess that's rolling on the plate there. And I'm just trying to coat every bit of the cover pink poly gel so it's not showing through. And then I'm going to use my baller tool into this green stamping polish to accent the peas. And I'm more of a frozen pea girl. I mean, I don't know if I'd have patience to shell fresh ones, but I like to get the frozen one. So I'm grabbing another piece of the polygel so I can make my corn. And corn, I love corn. I love either on the cob or in the can. This year I'm doing the can. No shame in my game, but the corn I'm doing for this design is on the cob. If the polygel's sticking to your spatula, just, before you grab it, try to grab it, some slip onto the spatula, like just coat it so that when you grab your polygel, it doesn't stick to the spatula. But now I'm just taking my brush and I'm just shaping it up. I'm gonna just try to make it look like the right size corn on the cob. Right now it looks like a hot dog or a sausage. Now I'm going to take my baller tool and I'm just going to make rows of indentations to create the kernels. Before I cure it. Again, you'll have to work quickly because your polygel will settle and you're going to lose the indentations that you put there. So I'm going to take a dab of the yellow and I'm going to use it to coat my corn. And just like that, it's corn. Just trying to make sure I cover all the cover pink. This yellow is a little translucent, so you want to make sure that you coat everything. And then if you get it on the plate, again, you can just take a brush and nail cleanser and wipe it off. So now I'm taking the Shany nail polish striper yellow. It doesn't have a number on it, but the link is in the description box below. And I'm just taking it and putting dots of kernels on my corn. The scale is obviously not correct because next to the peas, I don't think the kernels are that much larger than the peas. But you make do. And it's really starting to pop out like it's corn on a cob. Look at me. So I'm taking the white and mixing it in with the yellow, and I'm going to be making the end nubs of the corn and accenting the kernels with it as well. So I'm just taking my baller tool and mixing it up. And I'm going to be applying it to each end of the corn. And I probably didn't have to do this, but just going that extra mile. Just taking the tinier side and just dotting up the kernels on the corn. Now I'm taking my number 15 stamping polish and my number 3 stamping polish for the turkey leg. And I'm grabbing a piece of the poly gel and I'm going to put it on my thumbnail for the last part of this design, the turkey leg. I'm particularly fond of the turkey leg. It's my favorite part of the turkey. I mean, I do have other parts that I like, but this is my favorite. And what's more my favorite is smoked turkey leg. And where do I only eat smoked turkey leg unless it's magically somewhere else nearby that I can have it, which hasn't happened yet? It's Disney World. And when I was younger, we went there about a handful of times, and each time we would always look for the turkey leg. And we ate so much of it, we would buy like maybe 2 pieces a person and bring it home before we left. And then we went to Disney World last 2 years ago, and I couldn't find it. I ended up finding it in Animal Kingdom. So I don't know if it's a thing in Animal Kingdom and nowhere else, but maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough. But I'm really glad. It was like a hunt, because I think we did things kind of backwards. We did Epcot, I mean, Magic Kingdom, like the last day. So maybe it was there. Who knows? But now I'm taking clear coat and just putting down a layer on the exposed plate like I did with all the other nails before I cure this and apply the color. Doing these nails made me so hungry. I am still hungry, and I already had dinner. And I cheated a little bit, and I had some cookies, and I'm now hungry. This is awful. Think in days where like you watch my videos and I have this like tone of voice where it's just disinterested. It's probably because I'm hungry. So that might be every video. But anyway, I'm taking the number 15 and the yellow, mixing it up, trying to make my turkey color. I'm going to add some white in there too, because it's a little too dark. Don't want a burnt turkey leg. I want perfectly cooked turkey leg. It's insane how I basically use these 3 colors for 80% of this design, I feel like. Okay, maybe not, maybe 75. But if my voice is cracking, it's because I had done this voiceover just before, and for some reason this app didn't record it. So it like stopped recording after a little bit. So this is my second run at 59 minutes. And my voice is like, stop it already. But yeah, we're just mixing away. This is a lot of mixing. This is like intense mixing, and it's just a turkey leg. But yeah, I'm just taking my brush, grabbing a piece of that, and shellacking it on my turkey leg. I can't wait. I can't wait for Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving food. I just cannot wait. And I try to be good about it. Like I wait a whole year just to have it again. I mean, some years I'll have to succumb to the urge and I'll have a turkey dinner not on Thanksgiving. So, how about that for breaking the rules? Yeah, so I'm just carefully coloring this to cover all the cover pink, trying not to get this onto the plate, but again, like I said, you can always just take nail cleanser and a brush and clean it off. And now I'm taking the number 3 and I'm going to use my baller tool to just stipple dots on there. To make it look more like a roasted look. Again, this is probably not necessary, but I want the extra mile. Of course, not enough to remind myself that I left the mashed potatoes out, and I also left out the biscuits. So this is definitely not a complete Thanksgiving dinner. Now I'm going to take Nourish Cuticle Oil by Gelish, and I'm going to apply this to each nail or each finger and then rub that in. Can't wait for the reveal. And here is the completed design. A Thanksgiving dinner. This is with the table plated up. So cute. Here's another closer look. You can see the cranberry, the stuffing, pumpkin pie with that dollop of whipped cream, the corn and the peas, and the turkey leg with the background tablecloth. It looks so festive and so cute. And yet another closer look, because we're going to remove the turkey off the plate. It has that flower underneath, so if you choose not to have the design on for whatever reason, washing dishes or whatever, it'll still look fine. The pull on these magnets are pretty good. Still wishing I had the mashed potatoes and biscuits there, but all in all, it looks too perfect. I just can't. Well, now it's perfect. Well, this is Isms by Josie. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the nails with the plates off the table. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And I can't wait to see what else I'm going to come up with. See you again. Bye.